In Ballyclare, Antrim, Muckamore, Newtonabbey and Carrickfergus, with what these places have in common. Linen, big houses and dances for a start, as featured now in 2 films, a book and an exhibition, the result of a project called Shared History. Yvonne Lascall was involved with the Carrickfergus film, Jeanette McKendry with the Ballyclare one, and Finola Hunt is from Education Matters, and that was where the initiative started from, wasn't it, Finola? And I suppose Shared Lives, Shared History is the name of the project, and there's a good hint in there as to what you're trying to achieve. How would you describe it?
Well, basically the whole essence of the project was to try and to focus on people's ordinary lives and what connected them together in local communities and between local communities. And it was a peace initiative that was brought about by Carrickfergus Council, Newtonabbey Borough Council and Antrim Borough Council. And the idea behind it was to work with local communities, people in local communities, individuals and groups, and to get them to focus on aspects of shared history that they were interested in talking about, in sharing information about, in discovering about, and then producing representations which reflected their understandings.
And it's a great notion, Finola, and great places, Ballyclare, Antrim, Muckamore, Newtonabbey, Carrickfergus. The notion is a good one. Sometimes the execution of that is easier said than done. Now, how did you manage to do all those things?
Yeah, it was certainly a challenge, but I'd worked with some really great people. The issue was focusing on what people were interested in talking about and what they were comfortable talking about and working about. You know, there was no point in getting them to do representations. Like, if they didn't want to do a film, there was no point in doing that.
No, you can't force somebody really, or twist their arm.
If they didn't want to talk about historical events or places or people that divided them, there's no point in talking about that either. So it was all about what did they feel connected to each other, their homes, their families, where they went to school, what their memories were, places in their local towns that they wanted to talk about, how their communities had changed, and people were happy to discuss those things.
You have whetted our appetite beautifully there, Finola, and we're going to try and get a word out. She's winking at you there, from Jeanette and Yvonne, in a moment or two. But just to give us an idea of the kind of things that people talk about on the films, we've got a flavour of both of them here, Carrickfergus and Ballyclare. Will you hear this?
The dances used to be great fun. There were some dances which were dances, and you danced all night. They played waltzes, they played quick steps, they played jive, they played everything, played bar dances, they played everything. Because you got a mixture of ages. From about 14 up to about, there could have been people of 14, 8 or more. And everybody left to everybody else. It didn't matter.
And what was so brilliant about them?
Oh, they were fantastic.
Why? Tell me.
Their music was so good. Dickie rocking to Miami, down in the Fresh Bay. Oh, you haven't lived, dear, you haven't lived. Yeah, the whole lot.
You used to always try towards the end to get somebody with a car so that they would take you home. But they didn't just take you home, you brought all your friends as well. So they ended up with a carload.
We used to go to a wee dance, didn't we? In the YM. In the YM. See, then. And then there's another wee dance hall round facing where the gasworks is in Carrick. It was called the IOGT Hall. But there was a wee man, Sammy Stewart, and he played the accordion. And we used to dance the quick steps and the Moonlight Saunders and all. Just the accordion and a wee drummer. You know, just a wee 2-man band. It was very good.
I was a small boy during the Blitz, and I can remember my granda, he said to my mummy, "Your house got it." Our house was blown down, and we were back here. My granny had a cottage in Aile McGee, and it was my mummy and daddy and a couple of neighbours. Mummy, of course, helped to look after them. We got a house in Larne, and then we lived there at the end of the war, 1945. They rebuilt our house again, and we came back to it, and we've been there ever since. I was quite young, didn't realise what was happening. I enjoy coming here to get the people to know you, I suppose. A couple of people have come and said to me, a lady said to me this morning that she enjoyed my stories. So I think it's nice when people do that.
Enjoyed Sydney singing last week. He sung it first, remember?
I really enjoyed him singing that.
Do the best I can. Since no one cared a rush for me, why need I make a moan? I go my way and draw my pay and smoke my pipe alone.
Enjoying watching. They seem to be enjoying it too, you know.
I don't want pity. I like people who are interested in me as a person.
Because to let the people know who I am, and because some people don't really know who I am. People have to see, people have to notice people's stories. That's the only way people know, appreciate who they are and their history and all.
And Jeanette McKendry, Yvonne Lascal, Finola Hunt are beaming, smiling from ear to ear with pride, and rightly so. But what we didn't hear there, Jeanette, because you were involved with this and you know Ballyclare inside out, you're born and bred there, you've written a number of books about it over the years. What we didn't hear you saying was you weren't that fond of school.
No, I didn't like school. No. I cried to get started at school because all my friends were older than I was, and whenever it started, hated it. So I used to hide up entries and in area chillers, anywhere I could get that nobody would see me. And then everybody knew everybody else in Ballyclare, so somebody would go to my door and say, "Your Jeanette's up an entry down there." And then my aunt would come down and grab me by the hand and take me in. And I remember Miss Officer, the teacher, she would have come out and got me. And she trailed me in by the hand, and I'm shouting, "No, no, no." And she's shouting, "Yes, yes, yes."
I would say a lot of people can relate to that, Jeanette, can't they? But how would you rate a project like this? Because clearly you very much enjoyed, like all the other people involved, and it's a major deal, and you should all be very proud of it. How do you rate a project like this in terms of its value for today, the present, but also for future, for maybe other generations coming along?
Well, I think the benefit of it is we knew each other so well. Today people seem to live in like blackened rooms, silent rooms where they don't talk to each other, whereas we talk to each other. So there was no fear of anybody, no fear of anybody else. We were so friendly. We were out in each other's houses. We went to each other's parties. We went to all sorts of places around the town. We danced together. We even slept together in the same bed many a night.
I know.
And it was lovely, you know.
Ballyclare, I suppose, like so many other towns and places across Northern Ireland, has changed.
Oh,
we
yes.
all have to change. Places have to change. But it's a different notion today, living in Ballyclare, than maybe the Ballyclare you remember when you were growing up there.
Oh, yes, because people who come in now don't know each other. They have to get to know each other.
Right.
And sometimes they're out working, and they go shopping outside Ballyclare. They just use it as somewhere to come at night.
It's sort of
sad, really. You know, they miss so much.
Well, we've made a date already. You're going to give me a tour around Ballyclare, aren't you, in the next few weeks? A place I haven't been to myself. I'm guilty, hands up. So we're going to fix that in the next few weeks. But Yvonne Lascal, you were involved. You're involved with an organisation called Sense. Sydney, the man we heard singing that song there, is one of your people, and it was something that you were delighted to get involved with.
I was indeed. I was very delighted. As I say, I work for an organisation called Sense, and we're a deafblind organisation based in Carrickfergus. We support individuals who have got a sensory impairment or deafblindness, and I must say that everyone was absolutely delighted with the programme, and we consider Fionnuala to be very special as she welcomed our little group of deafblind adults into the Shared Lives programme. In doing so, she got to know us all as unique individuals and as an organisation. And it's really important because sensory impairment can create barriers to community activities and events, and everyone felt so welcome and part of something, and everyone had a story to tell.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? And that's a great endorsement, Fionnuala, for the ethos, the notion behind the whole thing. You must be very, very pleased with the end result, and it is a great. Do you think we're gathering the idea that preserving and maintaining this kind of oral tradition and cultural past is more important maybe now than ever it was?
I mean, I think that's right. And you know, before our technology moved on, before television, people told stories in their houses. That's what they did, and passed it on that way. And we wanted in the films in particular to capture that notion as well. And I think the Ballyclare film does that very effectively. But it was very useful because we wanted people to feel a sense of belonging with where they were, and tell us what made them feel they belonged.
And in the films, and you'll have enjoyed this, Jeanette. I'm sure there's some great archive footage, isn't there, of Ballyclare in the black and white and those sepia tones. That must have brought you back to. Those are things that don't exist and happen. And actually, even thinking about Ballyclare, famous, of course, for its May Fair.
That's right.
You must have great memories of that too.
Oh, fantastic memories. It's still going on, but not to the same extent. And if you went down the street, there was somebody trying to take your photograph, and he had a monkey on his shoulder to try and attract you. And then there was the smallest man in the world, and there was the sword swallowers, and then we had the dance on Mayfair night. And when you went there, and of course you got lifted and danced around, and then a fellow would say to you, fancy a ride in one of the amusements? So as you went in, when you paid your money, you got a stamp on your arm.
Right.
So when you went out to go on any of the amusements, you see, you got back in again.
Yeah, that was it.
Otherwise, you were out and that was it.
It was funny listening to the woman saying about getting a lift home, and it wasn't just you that got the lift home, it was half a dozen of your friends.
That's right, that's it, because very few people had cars
in those days.
Because we used to always meet down the street on a Saturday night. There would be maybe 200 kids down one side of the street, and groups of girls and groups of fellas, and we talked together, and then they met up and went maybe down Lovers Lane or somewhere, which was the mill lane. But then cars came on, and that spoiled it. Once cars arrived.
Lovers Lane. Every place, every town has a Lovers Lane.
Definitely.
And your sister Yvonne was in it, isn't that right? In one of the films. She's just back from America, 30 years in America.
She lives in America at the moment. She's been there 35 years, but she's bought an apartment in Carrickfergus, and she's some great memories of Carrickfergus as well.
Right. Okay.
You know, she really does enjoy living here
it's
now.
It may
it's
not
lovely to have her close by now.
I'm sure it is. It may not be in the Odeon as such, Finola, but how can people see it? These films and the exhibition and the book?
Well, basically, the films if are on Vimeo. You can see them online there. But and the books are available for anyone who wants to get a copy of those. But we're hoping that to get the material properly archived, you know, in some way in the future, so that other people can see them in different places, and you know they can get access.
All right.
to
Well,
them.
we'll hold on to the information, and you'll keep us up to date with all that, and people can get in touch with us. But it's been a great pleasure to meet and talk to all of you. So thanks so much, Finola and Jeanette and Yvonne. Thank you very much, and continued success. And I'll give you a shout, Jeanette. And I was going to say get the red carpet out in Ballyclare, but there's always a red carpet in Ballyclare, I would say. Thank you again very, very much. If you want any more information on any of the Shared History, Shared Lives, the films, get in touch with us and we'll give you all the details. 08459 555 678.